A guy calls out to a young man and tells him he has a 1 in a million talent for martial arts. He says that if he joined the Steel Bone sect, his potential would be limitless. Squatting, the young man tries to look up and asks the guy talking to him to take his foot off his head. This is our protagonist and leader of the Steel Bone sect, Jumchang Zio. He tells the guy who's stepping on him that he saw him hitting his disciple. The guy says he was just trying to chat with her, so our boy grabs him by the collar and says that's fine then. He'll give him a little more time to think about his offer to join his sect. Trembling, the guy says he's already joined the Rising Water sect. June then says it's a shame, but it seems like his destiny isn't with the Steel Bone sect. He asks Kanshin if this guy was bothering her. She's the first disciple of the sect and says he tried to touch her hand. At that, June kicks the guy in the chin, saying he's looking for trouble. While the guy begs him to stop, insisting he wasn't trying to offend the girl, the poor guy gets beaten up in the jungle. After that, the two leave with June asking Kanshin if he looked cool and she wonders why he only punched the guy in the face. From a distance, the poor guy vows to make them pay for this. Then we arrive at the Steel Bone sect. The leader of this place once jumped off a cliff and survived, and that's how he founded this sect and named it. After 10 continuous years of work, he finally turned it into a level 9 sect. However, he was sent to prison for causing trouble at his cousin's house, and when he tried to escape, he was executed. And that's how Arjun became the leader of this incredible place. He took control of this body when its owner was crushed by the entrance sign. The poor guy couldn't believe he'd have to take over such a fool's place, but none of that would kill his determination. Like people from other stories, he's sure he'll receive a system and become a genius. At that moment, the system appears. He's confused, wondering if it's really going to be that easy. Along with the area, a little window pops up. Our boy thinks the interface has appeared in full force, but what shows up are details about the sect, stating that it's a level 1 place with 1 member and 0 contributions. His task was to transform this failing sect into the greatest in the entire world, with 100,000 disciples within 100 years. He thinks that for a first mission, it doesn't sound too easy, especially considering he's incredibly weak, the place is bankrupt, and it has only 1 member. He concludes that no system would ever offer a mission without some kind of reward if it were impossible. It must be because of the body that died crushed. Then a notification appears, telling him to open the first gift. He smiles, saying he knew getting something was impossible otherwise. And in his hands, a spatial ring appears. He's confused, wondering what kind of finger this size is meant for if that's supposed to be a ring. Our boy's name means someone who smiles a lot. However, it's going to be hard to keep smiling considering he's received a basically impossible mission. Normally, people receive tons of power and abilities, so why did he get this gigantic ring? Even though it didn't look like it, it had an inscription saying it was indeed a ring. Since it was a spatial ring, he decided to check if there was anything inside. A lot of special effects happened, and he imagined there'd be some treasures. However, when he went in, there was just a chunk of a block. He wondered why it seemed so useless. He was expecting a legendary weapon, some kind of guardian or something that would change his life. However, he hears a heartbeat coming from the block. He's sure there's some kind of martial genius inside that will teach him everything. Obviously, something kept inside such a rare item couldn't be useless. Then a strange writing appears, showing the detonation time is 99 years and 23 hours. The bomb would only be disarmed if he completed the main mission. He throws the thing away, wondering why the artifact he received is actually a bomb. Strangely, a timer decreases whenever it's tossed around. He says it's useless, and the timer isn't even counting down right. The system mourns that the item has his soul and consciousness, so if he irritates it, the countdown will go faster. The poor guy makes a little prayer hoping to recover the time. He apologizes to the stone and tells the system he wants to go home because this reincarnation is a joke. However, the system says there's no way back, and if he doesn't complete the mission, he'll be blown up forever. Finally, he receives the first item, the Calamity Saber. The thing drops right between his legs. The system tells him at least it's good for him to make good use of it. He decides to check some information to figure out how he's going to do this. The things he has no idea about yet are what this sect construction business is and what the contribution value means. The system gives him a list of tasks ranging from building a medicine refining place to a beast tower, and when he reaches level 5 or higher, he will be able to see more. He asks how he's supposed to do these things, and the system says he will need more disciples, and to increase contribution, he has to place valuable treasures in the sect. With that, he could buy treasures and he gets interested. He asks how to open this shop and the system says he needs 1 point. He immediately wants to know how to get it. The system tells him he will need more disciples. He already understands that everything depends on his disciples since he will need construction and treasure points. He decides that his task from now on will be to recruit more people, so he gets to work. He makes a recruitment sign and says that with his charm, he'll have at least 103 days. However, a month and a half passes and the poor guy is left abandoned. He wonders how it's possible that not a single person has shown up, until someone calls out to him. Kanshin shows up and says she wants to join the sect. He immediately pulls out the instant noodles, runs up to her face and says she's beautiful and that the boss is willing to accept her. She says that if he's the boss, she's no longer interested in joining. Our boy tells her not to give up so easily, saying the place has a lot of potential. He starts making up all sorts of stories talking about how hard he worked to get to his position, that he's new, and he didn't have to insist much and she accepted, which he finds suspicious, but it's fine since that's what he wanted. With that, the sect reaches 2 members and the contribution increases to 1. Now he can take a look at the system shop. He's eager to see the secret techniques that will make him invincible. However, what he gets is a new player pack worth 1 measly point. He turns around crying, saying he should have known it wasn't going to be so easy to get something good. The system asks if he wants to take a look at the pack and he obviously says yes. He receives 2 items that help him escape and another one that makes him take less damage. Clearly, his life isn't going to be easy. He then opens the spatial ring and takes a look at the items. He asks the system about the experience item and the system says just breaking it will make him a little stronger. Right away, he breaks the item saying his time has come. With that, his power starts to increase and he says he now feels the path of immortality. However, the system tells him to wake up to reality. The place he's in now is below the normal minimum. He asks what this power seal opening is and the system says it's to unlock the Calamity Saber. He asks what kind of level 1 weapon needs to be unlocked. However, at least he gets an important piece of information. The system tells him about a nearby city where he could recruit other disciples. That's when suddenly, something comes spinning in the air and 5 guys appear in front of the 2. They're confused, wondering who these crazy people are. It's the bandana guy saying it was he who beat up the poor guy. Unfortunately, the 2 of them don't remember who this guy is. Kanshin asks and our boy says he thinks it's the guy he stepped on. The bandana guy says June was bold to hit someone from the rising sect and asks for his name. Our boy says he's June, the leader of the Steelbone sect. Everyone recognizes this sect as the one from the old leader who got caught at his cousin's house and then died trying to escape from prison. June shouts at them to stop slandering their sect like that. However, the guy wants to know how the leader of a worthless sect dares to harm his disciple. Our boy confidently tells Kanshin to take a step back because he's going to take care of everyone. She just tells him to remember that before he dies, she'll have to take the position from him. He's confused because she's the only disciple who wants to steal his position. But confidently, she activates the power she received. And with that, a fiery aura starts coming out of the boy. The guys ask if this isn't the weakest leader they've ever seen since the guy's only at level 3. Everyone starts laughing saying they've seen apprentices stronger than this leader. Then the guys activate their auras, saying they'll save time and finish him off quickly. Kanshin notices that the boy has dragged himself all over the field. She asks if he doesn't understand the situation. The apprentices next to her couldn't even react to this. And the system gives him the mission to deal with these 4 guys. From the ground, the boss asks how it's possible for someone with 3 energy points to be so strong. Our boy says it's obvious. It's because he's a sect leader. And immediately, the bandana guy's apprentices jump in, saying they won't let him get away with this. However, June reveals the 5th circle around his arm, which is the level he reached by breaking that seal. And the idiots realize that he had hidden his power. With that, he easily takes care of the guys. Everyone falls to the ground, and he calls Kanshin to leave. With that, they head towards the city. But on the way, she says he should have killed them to avoid future problems. Our boy asks why they would be so cruel. She replies that in the Starry Land continent, you can't show mercy to enemies. He doesn't even know that he's not qualified to be a sect leader. Our boy remembers that the laws here are very different from those on Earth. It's a place where you can't afford to be merciful. However, the system gives him a secondary mission. He is to educate Kanshin about his beliefs and protect his dignity as the sect leader. Our boy wonders why he would have to go through something like this. But he understands that he must assert his authority as the leader of the sect. So he says he understands that they can't be kind to enemies. However, she needs to remember that they are martial artists who seek truth and purity. There's no reason to harm those who pose no threat, as it would only stain their reputation. The system congratulates him for the lesson, and he gains a point. Confidently, he feels the wind hit his back at the perfect moment, making him look stylish as he speaks. Kanshin says she understands that the master can't do that, but she will finish them off instead. Our boy tells her she needs to be a bit calmer because she only ever talks about fighting and killing. She immediately points her sword at him and asks why a woman couldn't just focus on fighting and killing. She would obey him as the leader, but he better not underestimate her. Our boy is startled by her aggressive reaction, already certain she's been through a lot. He then glances at the system. For having beaten the guys and giving the moral lesson, he now has 10 points. As they walk, she wonders what the idiot is doing. Our boy wants to buy something, but the problem is that everything is too expensive. Until he finds a junior healing pill worth 1 point. However, he decides to save it for when he's dying. Suddenly Kanshin stops and warns that someone is watching them. The bushes ahead are rustling and our boy imagines it must be a destructive creature. He warns Kanshin that this path looks bad and suggests they change routes. However, she says she feels it's not a frightening creature. She points and says it's actually a badly injured human. Jem gets closer and says the wounds look severe. Since the breathing is failing, he knows the guy is on the verge of death. It seems like he fought a creature and ended up losing. She says she understands and asks when they're leaving. Our boy questions if she's not even slightly inclined to save the poor guy. She asks why he wants to save him if he's not a medicine cultivator. Clearly, there's nothing he can do. He starts to materialize the pill, saying that he may not know how to create one, but he has one of these, spending a point in the process. He didn't expect to use it so soon, but is eager to see the effect. He gives the pill to the guy. Kanshin says that any common medicine won't heal the internal injuries he has. However, at that moment, she hears a cough. The guy is already getting up and our boy asks what she thinks of that. She's confused about how someone on the verge of death was revived as soon as they took this pill. Maybe her master is more mysterious than she thought. Meanwhile, the scoundrel is only thinking about how to get rich by selling it. He immediately orders the system to open the shop, saying he wants to buy a bunch more. Considering that in the martial world, people get hurt all the time, he'd become a king. With that money, he'd buy tons of disciples and the sect would grow giant. However, he can only buy one per month. At that moment, his dream of getting rich is shattered. That's when he notices the guy he healed is gone. She says he left without saying anything. Our boy asks how someone can be so ungrateful. He spent a contribution point and an item that won't return for a month. Kanshin suggests that he should be a little crueler as he won't gain anything by being good in their land. The poor guy was thinking of saving the man but he fled just like that. He starts to realize that in this place there are no laws and the moral restrictions of Earth don't apply here.